Beloved, come closer and rest your thoughts for a moment. There is something you have been carrying quietly. You have wondered whether your life truly matters in the way you hoped it would. You have watched others move ahead while your own journey seemed slower than expected. You have questioned whether you missed an opportunity, whether you took a wrong turn, or whether someone else was better suited for the purpose you once believed was yours. I see those thoughts. I see the questions that rise when the room grows quiet, and I see the comparisons that visit your mind when you look at the lives of others. And I tell you today, my child, that what you call delay, I call preparation. What you call being overlooked, I call being protected. What you call ordinary, I call chosen. You have assumed that because your path does not look like another person's path, it must somehow be less meaningful. But I did not create you to be a copy. I did not shape you to repeat someone else's assignment. I formed you with intention, with care, and with a purpose that carries your name upon it. There are things I have placed within you that cannot be transferred to another person. There are doors connected to your obedience, lives connected to your faithfulness, and moments connected to your willingness to trust me. Long before you understood your own story, I understood it. Long before you recognized your gifts, I planted them. Long before you saw the road ahead, I prepared it. The prophet spoke of how I know the plans I carry toward my people, plans aimed toward hope and a future rather than destruction. Jeremiah 29:11. This does not mean life will always be simple, but it means my intentions toward you remain good even when the journey becomes difficult. Consider Joseph. He spent years in places he never expected to be. He endured misunderstandings, disappointments, and waiting seasons that seemed unfair. Yet every step that appeared disconnected was quietly leading him toward the assignment I had prepared. So it is with you. You do not see every connection. You do not understand every delay. You do not recognize every reason behind the waiting. But I am weaving together what you cannot yet see. Nothing is wasted in my hands. Nothing, my child. I know you sometimes feel unseen. You serve, you help, you encourage, and you remain faithful in small things. Yet there are moments when it seems no one notices. You wonder whether your efforts matter and whether quiet faithfulness can truly make a difference. Listen carefully. The world often celebrates what is visible, but I often work through what is hidden. The world looks for applause, but I look for faithfulness. The world measures influence by numbers, but I measure influence by obedience. What you call small, I call significant. What you call unnoticed, I call precious. The seed beneath the soil appears invisible, yet it is already becoming what it was created to be. Its growth begins long before anyone sees it. In the same way, much of the work I am doing in your life is taking place beneath the surface. Others may not recognize it. You may not fully recognize it, but I do. The wisdom literature reminds you that every season has its purpose, and every moment arrives in its proper time. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Growth has seasons. Preparation has seasons. Harvest has seasons. You cannot rush what I am maturing. Think about David. Before he wore a crown, he spent years tending sheep. Before others recognized his calling, he learned faithfulness in private places. Those hidden years were not punishment. They were preparation. So it is with you. Do not despise the quiet season. Do not underestimate the hidden season. Do not assume that because something is unseen, it is unimportant. I am working where human eyes cannot, and what I begin, I complete. Beloved, there are days when doubt visits your heart. You love me, yet questions remain. You trust me, yet uncertainty appears. You believe, yet you still wrestle. Do not be afraid of this. Doubt is not always the enemy you think it is. Sometimes doubt is simply faith learning how to walk. Sometimes questions become the doorway through which deeper trust emerges. I do not reject you because you have questions. I invite you closer through them. What you call weakness, I often use as a place of encounter. What you call uncertainty, I can transform into dependence. The letter written to believers reminds them that faith involves confidence in realities not yet fully seen. Hebrews 11:1. Faith is not pretending. Faith is trusting. Faith is continuing forward when complete understanding has not yet arrived. Consider Peter. There were moments when his confidence seemed strong and moments when fear interrupted him. Yet I continued shaping him. I did not discard him because he struggled. I developed him through the struggle. So it is with you. You do not need to have every answer. You do not need to understand every mystery. You do not need perfect certainty before taking the next faithful step. Simply keep walking with me. Keep listening. Keep trusting. I am patient with your process, my child. I know you are tired. Not only physically, but deeply, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. There are burdens you have carried for so long that they have begun to feel normal. There are concerns that return each morning. There are responsibilities that seem endless. Sometimes you wonder how much longer you can continue. I understand. I am not distant from your weariness. I am present within it. I do not demand that you hide your exhaustion. I invite you to bring it to me. What you call weakness, I call an opportunity for my strength. What you call emptiness, I call space that I can fill. The psalmist described me as the one who restores the inner life and leads weary souls into places of renewal. Psalm 23:3. Restoration is not merely stopping. It is receiving. It is allowing me to replenish what life has drained. Remember Elijah. After great spiritual victories, exhaustion overtook him. He needed rest. He needed care. He needed renewed perspective, and I met him there. So it is with you. You do not need to prove your strength to me. You do not need to pretend that everything is fine. Come as you are. Bring the fatigue. Bring the burden. Bring the disappointment. I know how to restore what has been worn down. I know how to renew what has grown tired. I know how to strengthen what feels weak. You are not carrying this journey alone. Beloved, some dreams within you have gone quiet. Not because they disappeared, but because disappointment covered them. You prayed, you hoped, you expected. Then circumstances unfolded differently than you imagined. Slowly, you placed certain dreams on a shelf inside your heart. You stopped speaking about them. You stopped expecting them. You stopped believing they could still matter. But I have not forgotten what I placed within you. I remember every promise. I remember every prayer. I remember every seed of hope. What you call buried, I call planted. What you call finished, I call unfinished. What you call impossible, I call an opportunity for my power. The prophet spoke of dry places becoming alive again through my breath and purpose. Ezekiel 37:1-14. I specialize in renewal. I specialize in restoration. I specialize in bringing life where hope has faded. Consider Sarah. Years passed beyond what seemed reasonable. Waiting became part of her story, yet timing that appeared impossible remained fully possible with me. So it is with you. I am not limited by delays. I am not restricted by human timelines. I am not hindered by what others consider unlikely. Trust me again, not because the circumstances have changed, but because I remain the same, my child. One of the greatest misunderstandings you carry is the belief that obedience is merely about rules. But I do not seek obedience as a taskmaster demanding performance. I seek obedience as a father inviting relationship. I do not ask you to walk with me because I wish to control you. I invite you to walk with me because I love you. What you call restriction, I often call protection. What you call surrender, I call freedom. What you call giving up control, I call discovering peace. The wisdom of Scripture teaches that acknowledging me in every path allows me to guide the direction of your journey. Proverbs 3:5-6. Guidance flows from relationship. Direction flows from trust. Consider Esther. She stepped into uncertainty not because she knew every outcome, but because she trusted the purpose that had been placed before her. Her courage became part of a story much larger than herself. So it is with you. Every act of obedience creates space for my purpose to unfold. You do not need to understand every step before taking it. You only need to trust the one who sees the entire path. Walk with me, and I will guide you where you could never guide yourself. Beloved, there have been moments when suffering caused you to question your purpose. Pain has a way of narrowing vision. Trials can make it difficult to see beyond the present moment. Yet hear me carefully. Your suffering is not writing the final chapter of your story. What you call breaking, I often call shaping. What you call loss, I often call preparation. What you call a setback, I can transform into a foundation. The apostle taught that perseverance develops maturity and strength within those who continue trusting through trials. James 1:2-4. Growth rarely happens in comfort alone. Character is often formed in places where faith is tested. Consider Job. He walked through seasons of profound loss and confusion. He did not understand everything that was happening around him, yet his story became a testimony of endurance and restoration. So it is with you. I am not absent in your difficulties. I am present within them. I am teaching, strengthening, refining, and preparing you. One day you will look back and see that even the hardest chapters were not outside my care. They were part of the work I was doing within you. My child, there are times when you look at your past and wonder whether certain mistakes have permanently altered your future. You remember decisions you wish you had handled differently. You remember opportunities that slipped away. You remember seasons when fear spoke louder than faith. Yet I want you to understand something that can bring peace to your heart. Your mistakes are not greater than my mercy. Your failures are not stronger than my purpose. What you call ruined, I can restore. What you call lost, I can redeem. What you call the end of the story, I often call the beginning of a new chapter. The prophet spoke of how I can restore years that seemed consumed by loss and bring renewed fruitfulness after difficult seasons. Joel 2:25. Redemption is one of the ways I reveal my goodness. Consider the prodigal son. He wandered far from the place where he belonged and eventually found himself broken by the consequences of his choices. Yet when he turned back, he discovered that restoration was waiting for him. So it is with you. I am not standing at a distance counting your failures. I am inviting you forward into healing. Do not allow regret to become your identity. Let it become a lesson. Let it become wisdom. Let it become part of the testimony that reveals my faithfulness. Beloved, I know there are prayers you have prayed for so long that you sometimes wonder whether I still hear them. The words have been spoken countless times. The requests have been carried through many seasons. You have asked, waited, hoped, and trusted, yet the answer has not arrived in the way you expected. Listen carefully. Repeated prayers are not ignored prayers. Delayed answers are not forgotten answers. What you call waiting, I often call preparation. What you call silence, I often call development. There are circumstances I am arranging that you cannot yet see. There are hearts I am working within that you cannot yet understand. There are pieces of the story that have not yet come together. The teachings of Jesus encouraged persistence in prayer, reminding believers that faithful prayer is never wasted before me. Luke 18, 1-8. Consider Hannah. She carried a longing in her heart for many years. Her prayers were accompanied by tears and deep desire. Yet the waiting season was not evidence that I had forgotten her. The answer arrived in its appointed time. So it is with you. Continue praying. Continue trusting. Continue bringing your heart before me. I hear every prayer. I remember every request. Not one has been lost. My child, do not be afraid of becoming different from who you once were. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it requires leaving familiar places behind. There are habits you have outgrown. There are fears you no longer need to carry. There are limitations that no longer define you. Yet sometimes you cling to old versions of yourself because they feel familiar. What you call safety, I may call stagnation. What you call comfort, I may call limitation. I am continually shaping you into the person I created you to become. The apostle described how transformation occurs as the mind is renewed and aligned with my truth. Romans 12:2. Consider Abraham. He was called to leave familiar surroundings and step toward a future he could not fully see. Growth required movement. Faith required trust. So it is with you. Do not fear the changes I am producing within your heart. The person you are becoming is not a departure from your purpose. It is a fulfillment of it. Trust the process. Trust my guidance. Trust the work I am doing within you. Beloved, there is influence within your life that you do not fully recognize. You often assume that impact must be dramatic in order to matter. Yet some of the greatest influence occurs through simple faithfulness. A kind word can alter the course of someone's day. A prayer can strengthen a weary soul. An act of compassion can become a turning point in another person's story. What you call a small gesture, I may use for a significant purpose. What you call an ordinary conversation, I may use to plant hope. The teachings of Jesus remind you that light is meant to shine, not for self-glory, but so that goodness may point others toward me. Matthew 5:14-16. Consider the young boy who offered what little food he had available. His contribution seemed small when compared to the need around him. Yet I used it in ways that exceeded human expectation. So it is with you. Do not underestimate what I can do through a willing heart. The influence I have entrusted to you is not measured merely by what you see. Often the greatest impact becomes visible only with time. Beloved, there are moments when you feel as though you are standing between what was and what will be. The old season has ended, yet the new season has not fully appeared. You find yourself in a place of transition, and transition can feel uncomfortable. You want clear answers. You want visible progress. You want certainty regarding the road ahead. Yet some of the most important work I do takes place in these in-between seasons. What you call uncertainty, I call formation. What you call a waiting room, I call a classroom. What you call standing still, I call preparing for movement. The people of Israel spent time in the wilderness between bondage and promise, learning to trust me in ways they never had before. Deuteronomy 8:2. The wilderness was not their destination. It was part of their preparation. So it is with you. Do not assume that because you have not arrived, you are lost. Do not assume that because the journey is taking longer than expected, I have abandoned my plan. I know exactly where you are. I know exactly what I am doing. I know exactly where I am leading you. Trust me in the transition. My child, I want you to stop measuring your value by your productivity. You live in a world that often celebrates achievement above character, and performance above presence. It is easy to believe that your worth depends upon how much you accomplish. It is easy to think that if you produce more, achieve more, or earn more, then you will finally feel significant. But your value was never meant to be determined by your performance. Your value comes from the fact that you are loved by me. What you call earning worth, I call forgetting your identity. What you call proving yourself, I call carrying a burden I never asked you to carry. The apostle reminded believers that they are deeply loved and chosen before they could ever earn such love through their own efforts. Ephesians 1:4-5. Consider Mary, who sat quietly at the feet of Jesus while others were occupied with many responsibilities. She understood something important. Presence matters. Relationship matters. So it is with you. You do not have to earn my love. You do not have to prove your worth. You do not have to exhaust yourself trying to become valuable. You are already valuable because you belong to me. Beloved, there are blessings in your life that you have overlooked because they arrived in a different form than you expected. You prayed for strength, and I allowed you to face challenges that developed resilience. You prayed for wisdom, and I gave you experiences that taught understanding. You prayed for peace, and I taught you how to trust me amid uncertainty. Sometimes the answer arrives differently than anticipated. What you call a delay may actually be a different kind of provision. What you call disappointment may contain hidden blessings. What you call a closed door may be protecting you from a path that would not have served your purpose. The wisdom literature encourages believers to trust me rather than relying solely upon their own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. Consider Joseph again. The events that seemed most unfair eventually became part of a greater purpose. What appeared to be setbacks became stepping stones. So it is with you. There are blessings surrounding you that you have not yet fully recognized. Open your heart to gratitude. Open your eyes to my faithfulness. Open your mind to the possibility that I am working in ways you did not expect. My child, there are people who have misunderstood you. There are individuals who formed opinions without knowing your heart. There are those who judged your motives without understanding your journey. Such experiences can wound deeply because you desire to be understood. Yet I want you to remember that your identity is not determined by the opinions of others. What people misunderstand, I fully understand. What others overlook, I clearly see. What others misjudge, I know completely. The psalmist celebrated the truth that I know every detail of a person's life, thoughts, and journey. Psalm 139, 1-3. Consider David. He was underestimated by many around him. Others focused on appearances while I focused on the heart. So it is with you. You do not need to spend your life chasing the approval of every person. You do not need to carry the burden of convincing everyone to understand you. Rest in the knowledge that I know you completely. My understanding of you is perfect, and my love for you remains unchanged. Beloved, there will be moments ahead when courage is required. Not the loud kind of courage that draws attention, but the quiet kind that continues trusting despite uncertainty. Courage is often less dramatic than people imagine. Sometimes courage is simply taking the next step. Sometimes courage is choosing faith over fear. Sometimes courage is continuing after disappointment. What you call a small step, I call progress. What you call persistence, I call strength. The instruction given to Joshua was not based on confidence in himself, but confidence in my presence with him wherever he went. Joshua 1:9. Consider Esther once more. Her courage was not the absence of fear. It was the decision to move forward despite fear. So it is with you. You do not need to eliminate every concern before taking action. You do not need to wait until you feel completely fearless. Simply trust that my presence goes before you, walks beside you, and remains behind you. You are stronger than you realize because I am strengthening you day by day. My child, never forget that I am a God of beginnings. Every sunrise reminds you that new mercies continue to arrive. Every season reminds you that life moves forward. Every breath reminds you that your story is not finished. What you call an ending may simply be the doorway to a new beginning. What you call a closed chapter may simply be making room for another chapter to begin. The prophet wrote of my compassion being renewed day after day, providing fresh hope even after difficult nights. Lamentations 3:22-23. Consider Peter after his failure. Many would have assumed that his story had reached its conclusion. Yet restoration awaited him, purpose awaited him, a new chapter awaited him. So it is with you. Do not define your future by your worst moment. Do not define your future by your greatest disappointment. Do not define your future by what has been lost. Define your future by my faithfulness. Define your future by my promises. Define your future by the truth that I am still working in your life. Beloved, if you remember nothing else from this message, remember this: I have chosen you for something no one else can do. I have not called you to imitate another person's journey. I have not designed you to fulfill another person's purpose. I have created you uniquely, intentionally, and lovingly. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Your obedience matters. Your faithfulness matters. The experiences you have walked through, the lessons you have learned, the compassion you have developed, and the wisdom you have gained are all part of the assignment I have entrusted to you. Therefore, stop doubting your value. Stop questioning whether your life has meaning. Stop believing that your contribution is too small. Walk confidently in the purpose I have given you. Trust my timing. Trust my guidance. Trust my love. I am with you today. I will be with you tomorrow. And I will remain faithful throughout every chapter that is still to come. Beloved, I know that sometimes you question whether you are truly making a difference. You look at your life and see ordinary routines. You see responsibilities, obligations, and daily tasks that may seem small compared to the dreams you once imagined. Yet I want you to understand that purpose is often revealed in ordinary moments. Purpose is not always found in grand stages or dramatic opportunities. Purpose is often discovered in faithfulness within everyday life. What you call ordinary, I call sacred. What you call routine, I call opportunity. What you call a small assignment, I call a meaningful part of my greater plan. The teachings of Jesus remind believers that faithfulness in small responsibilities prepares them for greater responsibilities. Luke 16:10. Consider the disciples before they became known throughout the world. They spent countless ordinary days learning, listening, serving, and growing. Those simple moments became the foundation for everything that followed. So it is with you. Never underestimate the value of today's obedience. Never dismiss today's opportunities because they appear small. Great purposes are often built through consistent faithfulness in ordinary seasons. My child, there are blessings I have placed within your life that comparison has prevented you from appreciating. When you focus too much on what others possess, you begin overlooking what I have already given you. Gratitude opens your eyes to my faithfulness. Comparison often closes them. What you call not enough, I may call abundance. What you call a limitation, I may call a unique gift. The apostle encouraged believers to give thanks in every circumstance because gratitude helps the heart remain aware of my goodness. 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Consider the widow who offered a small gift while others gave from abundance. Her contribution seemed insignificant by human standards, yet I saw the value within it. So it is with you. Your life contains gifts, opportunities, relationships, lessons, and blessings that deserve recognition. Take time to notice them. Take time to thank me for them. Gratitude will not erase every challenge, but it will remind you that my goodness has been present throughout your journey. Beloved, there are moments when fear attempts to disguise itself as wisdom. Fear tells you to stay where it is comfortable. Fear tells you not to risk disappointment. Fear tells you not to trust again after being hurt. Fear tells you that failure is too costly and that hope is too dangerous. Yet fear was never meant to be your guide. What you call protection, fear often calls retreat. What you call caution, fear sometimes uses as a disguise for paralysis. The apostle reminded believers that the Spirit I give does not produce fear but strength, love, and sound judgment. 2 Timothy 1:7. Consider Joshua standing before a future that seemed overwhelming. He faced challenges larger than himself, yet courage grew when he focused on my presence rather than his fears. So it is with you. Courage does not mean you never feel afraid. Courage means choosing trust when fear offers another path. Do not allow fear to make decisions that belong to faith. Move forward knowing that I walk with you. My child, there are people who will be encouraged simply because you refuse to give up. You may never know all the lives your perseverance touches. Someone is watching how you handle disappointment. Someone is learning from your faithfulness. Someone is being strengthened by your example. Influence often travels farther than you realize. What you call surviving, I may call inspiring. What you call enduring, I may call leading. The Apostle Paul frequently encouraged believers through the testimony of his perseverance during difficult circumstances. Philippians 3:13-14. His willingness to continue became a source of hope for many others. So it is with you. Continue moving forward. Continue trusting me. Continue believing that your story carries value. The strength you display during hardship may become the encouragement another person desperately needs. Beloved, I want you to remember that I am not only working on the things around you, I am working within you. Often you focus on external answers while I focus on internal transformation. You ask me to change circumstances, and sometimes I begin by changing perspective. You ask me to move mountains, and sometimes I begin by strengthening your faith. You ask me to open doors, and sometimes I begin by preparing your character for what lies beyond those doors. What you call delay, I sometimes call development. What you call waiting, I sometimes call growth. The apostle taught that believers are being transformed little by little into greater spiritual maturity. 2 Corinthians 3:18. Consider Jacob. His journey was not only about reaching a destination, it was also about becoming a different person along the way. So it is with you. The work I am doing inside your heart is just as important as the answers you seek outside of it. Trust my process. Trust my timing. Trust my wisdom. My child, there will be seasons when you clearly recognize my hand at work, and there will be seasons when my activity seems hidden. During both seasons, my faithfulness remains unchanged. I am not more present when circumstances are favorable, and I am not less present when circumstances are difficult. What you call visible blessings and hidden blessings both come from the same faithful hand. The prophet reminded believers that even when my ways are difficult to understand, my thoughts and purposes operate on a higher level than human understanding. Isaiah 55:8-9. Consider Job. There were moments when he could not see what I was doing, yet my presence never left him. My purpose never abandoned him. So it is with you. Even when answers are delayed, I am present. Even when understanding is limited, I am working. Even when your vision feels clouded, my guidance remains steady. Trust me not only when you understand, but also when you do not. Beloved, let this truth settle deeply into your spirit today. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are not abandoned. You are exactly where I can continue working within your life. What you call a detour, I may call direction. What you call a setback, I may call preparation. What you call an ending, I may call a beginning. The promise given through the prophet assures my people that I am capable of creating pathways through places that seem impossible and bringing hope into situations that appear barren. Isaiah 43:19. Therefore, lift your eyes, renew your hope, strengthen your faith. Continue trusting me, continue believing my promises, continue walking forward one step at a time. I have chosen you for something no one else can do. I have equipped you in ways you may not yet fully recognize. I have placed purpose within your life that cannot be replaced by another. Walk confidently, beloved. Walk faithfully. Walk peacefully. And remember that wherever your journey leads, my presence will go with you. My love will sustain you, and my purpose for your life will remain secure. My child, as you move forward from this moment, carry this truth with you. You are not an accident. You are not forgotten. You are not replaceable. Before others knew your name, I knew it. Before others recognized your value, I recognized it. Before others saw your potential, I placed it within you. What you call ordinary, I call purposeful. What you call weakness, I call an opportunity for my strength. What you call uncertainty, I call a place where trust can grow. Remember this whenever doubt tries to return. Remember this whenever comparison seeks to steal your peace. Remember this whenever delays tempt you to lose hope. I have chosen you for something no one else can do. I have prepared works uniquely suited to the life I have given you. The apostle taught that each believer is created with good works prepared beforehand as part of my purpose. Ephesians 2:10. Therefore, walk forward with confidence. Not confidence in yourself alone, but confidence in the one who walks beside you. Continue trusting, continue believing. Continue becoming who I created you to be. I am with you, and I will remain with you every step of the way. Amen.